I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Jean Asienzo, who's showcasing Sudan. Jean has been teaching English for 6 years and has taught in South Sudan, Rwanda, and Sudan. For the past 3 years, she's been developing her skills as a young learner teacher, which she very much enjoys. She also won an IATEFL scholarship to attend the Brighton conference in April this year. Take it away, Jean.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, you can carry on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, Africa. Hello, Europe, both East and Southeast Asia, Middle East, and the Americas. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be on this platform, sharing and connecting with you all. As the host has said, that today my topic will focus on a drama-based methodology with primary learners. So I've put together a few activities that you might want to try with your learners wherever you are. However, before we get into that, I would like to quickly talk about the importance of using drama in class. First of all, drama activities integrate language skills in a natural way. They do provide spontaneous, productive use of language and enhance listening skills. If we look at speaking skills such as pronunciation, intonation, accuracy, stress, and all these things, all these can be practiced through drama activities. Drama activities also do, learning through drama and dialogue also is a far more spontaneous. It's far more, it provides a lot of, autonomy because students can control themes, outcomes, and even the language used, resulting in more, in greater motivation. Now, if you're going to use drama activities in class, there are certain things you need to sort of bear in mind, and these are the tips that you sort of have to go in, into the classroom. One of them is, as a teacher, you need to know your learners and know that not everyone is a great actor, and not everyone would want to be on a display, and want to act. So do know your learners, and if you do have those kind of students or learners in your class, do not force them. The other thing is, most drama activities do require enough space and room because learners have to sort of move around the classroom. That means you sort of have to be ready to move your furniture, chairs, and tables to the side of the classroom. The upside of this is that if you do this, if you use these activities, a lot or many times, then learners will learn to move the furniture quickly. Sometimes teachers often get panicky, as a result of the noise, that results from these activities and the difficulty, with planning and organizing this kind of activities. But if you find yourself in this kind of situation, do bear it in mind that speech and action are integral to learning. Sorry, I just forgot to share that. Okay. The other thing I would say is that as a teacher, you always need to sort of be full-hearted, because learners can recognize their hesitancy in a teacher that does not believe in the activities. If you're half-hearted, these activities you plan to deliver or execute will not really will not succeed. So do allow some care, be organized and prepare, and most importantly, go to the classroom with a good sense of humor. Discussion is also a natural part of these tasks, as students will spontaneously engage with each other, learn to value each other's support and suggestions, and work out how to cooperate as a team in pairs, or even through group work. So do allow lots of time for thinking, even if sometimes it feels like the task is going too slowly. Last but not least, a very, very important tip is that do give positive feedback on the end product and the process that students went through. Value the performance and cooperation, and always credit them for a job well done. Right, so having said that, I've put together a few warmer activities that I've tried with my learners here, particularly in Sudan, that have worked really well, that you might want to, again, try, wherever you are. So one of them is called the wind that blows. Now, the wind that blows is it's a fantastic warm activity I've tried with my class several times, and they've liked it, they've loved it, they've enjoyed it. It's fun and engaging. So I'm just going to quickly explain to you how you can manage or execute this activity. So let's say you have a group of 20 or 10 in your class. All you have to do is get your students sit in a circle, with one chair left, and that means that one student has to stand in the middle of the circle, and that person becomes the caller. Now, the idea is that person to make a sentence that will get at least 2 or 3 people or more in that group stand up and switch places. So as a teacher, you always need to model an example, and you can do this either by by either doing it yourself or whispering a sentence to the caller, or giving him or she a card with a sentence that they can say, that the rest of the students can learn from. So I've put together a few sentences here that that learners can say for this activity. So for example, a learner can say, the caller can say things like, the wind blows for everyone wearing a watch. So in this case, every learner in that group wearing a watch has to sort of stand up and switch places, including the current caller, and of course the last person left standing becomes the next caller. Another sentence could be, the wind blows for everyone who supports Manchester United. Here again, I think it's very obvious that you get lots of the boys, especially here in Sudan. We have so many Manchester United fans, and so you get the boys all standing up and switching places. Another sentence is, the wind blows for everyone who can swim and land. The wind blows for everyone who had breakfast today. I mean, obviously, here you get everyone standing, especially here because our classes begin at 12 1, so the learners come at a time when they've obviously had their breakfast. So here is a good sentence that can get everyone stand up and switch places. The wind blows for everyone that likes ice cream, everyone who is visiting their grandparents today, or the wind blows for everyone who walked in the park last week. Now, with all these sentences that I've shared, you'll see that the different tenses have been mentioned. So with this activity, you can practice, different tenses of grammar. Here in Sudan, we have a major challenge with our learners having problems with the use of past forms, the past regular forms, and the third person singular s. So, for example, instead of saying I walked, or I talked, or I watched, they say things like I walked, I watched, I talked. So here is a good opportunity for you to sort of incorporate the use of the past form regular, where you can have lots of sentences with the past form, and you just get the students, saying it many times and just, practicing it naturally. Also, you see that you can use this activity to practice, can and can't for ability, to practice the future form, and to practice the past form and the present continuous. So you can really play about with with this activity when you like. The other activity that I'm going to share with you is called greeting. Basically, with this activity, you also get your students stand up. Of course, there has to be enough space and room for students to walk around. So I would say it's just basic warm-up activity. So students stand up and you tell them to walk around the classroom, and then you tell them to, at any one appropriate time, you tell them to stop and turn to the person next to them and greet someone shyly. So they sort of have to act and very shy while they're greeting the person next to them. While that is happening, you tell them to start walking again. They walk, and you tell them to again turn to the person next to them and greet them proudly or bravely, or greet someone like your lost friend, or greet a member of the royal family. So here you're getting learners to act in different ways, and it's a good love for them. The students love it, and it's a good 2-3 minutes activity that sort of gets them to in the right frame of mind and ready for the next activity. Hello. The other activity is called hands through. This one is brilliant for practicing our daily routines, I would say. So students come again in Sudan. We only our young learner program only operates at the weekend, Friday, Saturday. That means they have like a whole week, without coming to the British Council. So it's a good way to sort of start your class, getting the kids to talk about what they did, during the week and daily and something like that. So you get students to work in pairs, and basically one person stands behind the other, and the person standing at the front has to fold their arms on their back, and the other one, the one at the back puts their arms through, so their arms sort of become the arms of the person in front of them. And then as a teacher, you then tell a story, and then they have to mime the story, or act the story using their body. Obviously, if it's if it's something that involves the facial expression, the person in front has to sort of use their face, and if it's the use of hands, the person behind has to use their hands. So, for example, you can say things like, "This morning I woke up," and you have to sort of do something like that, and then I went to the bathroom. So here the person at the front has to sort of drag the person behind them and they walk, and I went to the bathroom, got my toothbrush and toothpaste, and I brushed my teeth. Now the person behind sort of has to brush the teeth of the person behind them. Sorry, it's just sorry about that. So yeah, so I was just explaining that. So with this activity again, just to sort of to make it a learner-centered, you can actually get the students to then now tell talk about what they did, during the week, what they did before they came to class, what they did, what they do as a daily routine, and it serves to make it more engaging and interactive. The other activity that I really like and enjoy so much that I've tried is called Throw Your Face. Now, Throw Your Face is it's got no language sort of use in it. It's just basically warm up to just create interest in the lesson. So all learners have to do is stand in a circle, okay, and you have to explain to them that they have to pull a funny, silly face and throw it to someone, either across them or to anyone, in the group. And then the person they're throwing their face to has to sort of catch the face and then make another funny face, pull another funny face, and then throw it to another person. However, with this activity here in Sudan, because the girls and boys, because of the culture, they're not really comfortable working together. So sometimes, I have to be really careful when arranging them. So I have to make sure the girls are standing in a position where they're facing, their fellow girls, or the boys facing their fellow boys. Otherwise, it becomes they're a bit shy and they don't want to, do it. However, to really, break the ice and make them, get them to do the activity, as a teacher, you have to module and show them that, hey, you can do this. So normally I do a really funny face, like, it's like my famous funny face. So I do something like, oh, and I throw it to, to someone, any of the, the kids in the circle, and they all, begin to giggle and laugh, and they find it really funny, and before you know it, everyone wants to throw your face. So, 2 to 3, 4 minutes, again, by the time this is all done, the kids are all like, really happy and settled for the next activity. Right, so I think for lack of time, because I still have a lot to talk about, I'm going to move to the next slide. However, I've put, a proper, document, that I'm gonna, if you wish to get, I'm gonna share with you at the end of this presentation. I'm gonna show you my email address. So let's move to the next. So let's move to the next slide, which is talking about story and dialogue. Now, a great way to link grammar and language practices for children to repeat actions in a story. As you can see, that TPR, which stands for Total Physical Response. It is a powerful learning approach that uses our psychomotor systems to learn a new language. Using a skeleton story like the enormous elephant, or rewrite a story that you know very well to include some repetitive action in it, and sort of get the kids to practice perform the story while you tell them the story. Just make sure before you tell them the story, make sure that the kids the learners match, match actions, match keywords with some actions that the whole group is sort of familiar with. So the story that I'm going to share with you is Enormous Elephant, that some of you might have heard about. So in this story, there's some key phrases that I usually teach my kids, or I get the kids to sort of, think of actions that can match the words. Of course, one of the words is enormous. So here you get the kids to stand again in a circle, and then you say the word, and then you get the kids to think about an action, for example, enormous something like that. And then everyone has to sort of, do the same action, because, we have to sort of keep it, systematic, that everyone does the same action. So you've got the word, enormous, and then you have to get someone to think of, to mime elephants, so how does an elephant, so enormous elephant, so you get something like enormous elephant. One of the key phrases here is also the crazy crocodile, so you have to get someone to think about. Sometimes you find that students can't really come up with an appropriate action. So as a teacher, you need to, help them. So here we're talking about the crazy crocodile, and we're also talking about the magic monkey, and we're talking about birds, and so forth and so forth. So while you're telling the story, you realize that, students, after reading the first, second, third line, students will move from, action to telling the stories themselves. So I'm just quickly going to read through the story of the enormous elephant. Okay, so this is the story of enormous elephant, magic monkey, and crazy crocodile. One day, enormous elephant was bored, very, very bored. And then he had an idea. I'll go to New York. Here is a good point. I need to tell you that also, when you think of New York, you're thinking of the Statue of Liberty. So enormous elephant thinks of going to New York. And then he started to walk, and he walked and he walked and he walked. On his way, he met a magic monkey. Hello, magic monkey. What's the matter? I'm very, very bored. Okay, I have an idea. Why don't you come with me to New York? Okay, said magic monkey. So they started to walk, and they walked and they walked and they walked. On their way, they met crazy crocodile. Hello, crazy crocodile. What's the matter? I'm very, very bored, said enormous elephant. I have an idea. Why don't you come with us to New York? Okay, said crazy crocodile. So they started to walk, and they walked and they walked and they walked and they walked and they walked. I'm very, very tired, said enormous elephant. I'm very, very tired, said magic monkey. I'm very, very tired, said crazy crocodile. And they all went to sleep. So with this kind of, stories and dialogue, by the time you finish with the activity, like learners have, practiced pronunciation, intonation. There's so much, all these factors that I've talked about at the beginning about the importance of using drama in class is all embedded in this kind of activity. Now, there's a lot of activities that can follow a TPR, activity such as a gap version of the story. So, for example, you can, take out some of the key phrases, keywords from the story and get the students to try and remember and fill it out. Or if it's a story, if it's a well-known story, you can get pictures and get the students to sequence them and retell the story using pictures. Or you can do cut-ups. You can cut up the story and get the students to work in groups to sort of put them in the order to make sense. Yeah, so that's it about the story and dialect. Let's see what we've got next. Alright, so we also have the story, So we've got the story of the enormous elephant, and then we have an activity called Continue a Story, which I suppose is not really new, but I'm still going to talk about it. So I also do like this activity. I've tried it several times here and it's really worked well, because in this activity you really don't need to do a lot of work as a teacher. Here students come up with, ideas, outcome, and so forth and so forth. So again, here you sort of get you have either a ball or a bin bag, and you get the students to sit in a circle, and you throw a ball to the person and anyone in the group, and tell them to sort of start the story, and then they have to throw the ball to another person, and the person has to continue the story. You can either, you can however have a variation. For example, you can say we're going to use fortunately, so the story has to either continue with the word fortunately or unfortunately. So this means if I said fortunately, the next person has to begin, continue the story with starting unfortunately. So I'm just gonna share again just a few sentences that I've put together. So let's say in a group, in our little group, that one of the students begins a sentence with the word unfortunately the plane's engine failed. Okay, now the next student then has to think about a word with fortunately the pilot had a parachute. Unfortunately, the parachute would not open. Fortunately, there was a haystack underneath. So as you can see here, that with this kind of activity, the students are really in control of the language that they're going to use, the outcome, the direction the story is taking. And again, there's no pressure. It doesn't provide pressure on the kids, and there's it builds confidence because they're not sort of forced to they're not expected to say what the teacher is looking out for. The other example could be and yes. For example, you can say, okay, we're going to tell a story, but then we have to continue it with and yes. Okay, again, I've put a few sentences together here that I'm going to share with you. So let's say, the first student starts a sentence with, it's raining. Yes, and we're lucky you brought my umbrella. Let's hide under it. Yes, and the wind's blowing us into the air. We're flying over the ocean. Yes, and we've landed on a desert island. So again, here depending on how many students you have in your class and how many groups you've decided to have for such an activity, the story can continue as long as you want. The other, okay, right. Okay, so the other story activity that I'm going to share with you is called the whoosh stories. Whoosh stories are a very short and interactive way of teaching story plots to children. All you have to do is tell them that so this basically they have to step in a space and make a still image, and you have to tell them that everyone is going to participate in the telling of the story by either becoming a character or an item in the story. And at any one point, if you tell, if you say the word whoosh and wave your hand, they quickly have to, return back to their places, and then another person sort of comes. Sometimes they might be required to say words. Sometimes they just have to act and mime, what you're talking about. So let's just share the story that I've put together. Again, do not worry. if you want to use any of these activities in your classroom, I'm very, very happy to share them with you through the email address that I'm going to give to you. So let's say, you know, you're using a story like, you know, the Beauty and the Beast, you know, in your classroom. So you're saying, maybe let's say we have Ahmed, Mohammed, you know, Tasneem, all his names. So you say, so you point at Ahmed. That means Ahmed has to step in the middle of space, okay? And then as you read the story, Ahmed has to mime, you know, the character. So for example, we can say Ahmed steps in the middle and he is the beast. So I am the beast. I have horns, clothes, and I'm covered in fur, okay, and whoosh. So Ahmed sort of has to leave, you know, the space and go back to give space for another person, and then you continue the story. So I live in a huge castle deep in the woods. I used to be a human prince. I had powers and riches, but I did not care about anyone except myself. And then you say whoosh, and then Muhammad, you know, disappears, and you know another person comes in. So you sort of continue the story. I, the beast, did not like roses, and all beggar once asked permission to stay in my castle in exchange for a rose. I laughed, ha 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 ha, at her and told her to leave. Again, whoosh, Tasneem leaves, and you know another person. So here is really this activity is amazing, because it sort of gives you know kids in class the confidence, you know, the character, and you know and a lot of courage, and especially for those students who are very shy at speaking. This could be the opportunity to just act and mime and get them to be part of the class. So you can continue this story. What you have to do is to make sure that the stories are broken into small sort of chunks. Don't make them too long, and also that you probably have to pre-teach some of the vocabulary.
Gina, I would like you to summarize your words, because your 30 minutes is almost over. So if you just summarize and wrap it up, that will be great.
Okay, all right. I was really, coming to the end of my talk. I just have like one last activity that I was going to share with you, but since I don't have enough time, again, I'm going to share this with you through my email. So I can stop here for now.
I haven't yet.
I can't really. I can't see any questions. Can you see any questions that have been?
All right. Lots of, yeah.
Are there any questions that have been asked? I can't see.
Lots of practical ideas. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so maybe we can wait. Okay, so if there are not questions, I'm gonna say. No, I was just gonna say that if there are no questions, I'd like to stop here. Maybe what I'm gonna do is just go back and show the participants. I think you've shared my email address, so
thank you very much, Jean. Thank you very much. Lots of practical ideas, and thanks for sharing your experience with us. Now we're going to...
And I'll send you the full documents. Yeah. Okay, someone is asking, Natalia. Natalia is asking if a
All right.
video
Thank you.
of